So as we've all seen over the last week or so, Jodie Whittaker's regeneration has happened and has caused quite a big stir, because it didn't go quite the way that was expected. Ncuti Gatwa, the previously announced next Doctor, did not burst onto the scene to fill the role of the 14th Doctor, and we instead got the return of David Tennant. Old teeth, new suit. Old face, new Doctor. And now they've announced 3 specials with him coming next year. What's going on? A very understandable reaction that a lot of people are having is confusion and even disappointment. It makes sense. They announced an exciting new Doctor, then surprised us by having the character revert back to the old fan favourite. Surely this is a desperate move, and a huge disrespect to Ncuti Gatwa's landmark casting, as well as a slap in the face to the fans who are looking forward to him, who now have to wait as he's sidelined for the guy from 2005. This criticism makes a lot of sense, but I'm here to argue that what's happening with Doctor Who at the moment may be a lot more complicated than we think, and that given the circumstances, a return to David Tennant might be a really good idea. And I'd like to dive into why. From the moment Jodie Whittaker and showrunner Chris Chibnall were announced to be leaving the show at the end of 2022, the issue of the 60th anniversary has been a big one. I thought Russell T Davies had 2 options when it was his time to take over production late this year. He either launches a new incarnation in a big multi-Doctor anniversary special, or he ignores the anniversary completely. Both of these have their drawbacks. The former leaves a new Doctor competing with old returning favourites, trying to establish a new identity in the middle of nostalgia-reliant fan service. The alternative of doing nothing except a standard series would potentially make people resentful of the new Doctor, because seeing returning incarnations every 10 years has been a part of the show since the very start, and this new Doctor stopped us seeing David Tennant or Matt Smith again. So this is a bit of a dilemma, but as it turns out, the dilemma was even more complicated than that, because it seems like the person he picked to take over the role was busy. Ncuti Gatwa was off in the States filming the Barbie movie in the time that they would have needed to film most of the 2023 Doctor Who content. So while we're obviously going to get a bit of him next year, it seems like his proper availability doesn't start for a while, meaning we probably won't see a series from him until 2024. So Jodie's gone, she's wrapped on the regeneration, it's all tied up nicely, she's off to have a baby. Ncuti Gatwa is in America having a Barbie, and RTD is there, thrust back into the showrunner seat at the last minute. Apparently for a while, Chibnall and crew thought that Power of the Doctor might be the show's final episode because they were all leaving and didn't have a replacement lined up. So Davis shows up to, for lack of a better word, save the show, and he's got all the burdens of ratings and 60th anniversaries, and on top of this, the man he wants for the lead role can't do it yet. So what does he do? He could apologise to Ncuti, say he was the right person at the wrong time, and bring in someone else who's not quite as good, compromise all the ideas he had for Gatwa's Doctor, and get the new series on TV as soon as possible, still having to deal with all that anniversary baggage. Alternatively, he could wait until Ncuti was available, go on hiatus in his first year. Sorry fans, I'm back, but there won't be any 60th anniversary celebrations because we don't have a Doctor yet. Please don't lose interest in the 20 months we make you wait. I really went back and forth on whether or not I would attempt a Welsh accent for that, and I'm confident in saying that I made the wrong decision. The point is, neither of those options sound great, so what's the third choice? How about a combination of the two? Waiting for Ncuti to become available but producing some Doctor Who in the meantime. This meant finding someone who could come along and fill the Doctor position for a limited time, while we wait for the real replacement to show up. Sort of like Liz Truss as Prime Minister. This option required someone to bridge the gap between 13 and the real 14, the Bridge Doctor. But who to pick? Who does Russell T Davies trust to relaunch his era of Doctor Who? When you phrase the question like that, the answer seems pretty obvious.
Did you miss me?
Casual fans, and some dedicated fans, have been demanding the full return of beloved iconic Doctor Who David Tennant for years. And I, along with the majority of fans, said it was a terrible idea. Doctor Who is a series that should always be evolving, and this would be a major step backwards, quite literally. Hey guys, remember the past? Remember the guy you liked? Kids, remember the guy your parents liked? Actually, I'm not sure if we're quite at that point yet. It's a move that, when you look at it cynically, seems pretty desperate. The BBC dangling a nostalgia carrot to win back an audience that has long moved on from their flagship show. It would set a bad precedent, especially for something as long-term as a new David Tennant incarnation, something it feels like we've already had quite a few of. And we said as much back when David Tennant's name started being thrown around in the rumours of Jodie's replacements. We laughed off those supposed leaks. If we'd then heard no news until the set photos a few months later of David Tennant running around Camden Market with Catherine Tate, I think it would have been doom and gloom in the fandom. Oh god, they've done it. The forward momentum of the show has halted. We are witnessing the final last-ditch effort to get us to care. But that wasn't the first thing we'd heard. About a week before that, they announced that Ncuti Gatwa would be the next Doctor. And I think this timing was totally deliberate, because it drowned out a lot of the later news about Tennant's return, and it reassured those paying attention that he wouldn't be around forever. Announcing Ncuti before releasing any 60th anniversary details told us that something exciting and fresh was coming soon, that no matter how many nostalgic trips down memory lane we take next year, the show will never be too far gone, because at the end of the tunnel is someone new, someone Russell thought it was worth waiting for. To me, it really shows his faith in Ncuti. He'd rather delay a proper new series than pass on the opportunity to write for the Doctor he wants. Apparently they're internally referring to the whole 60th anniversary buffer period as the bridge, which makes a lot of sense.
Now what's a bridge for, eh?
Well, crossing?
Right. So stop dilly-dallying and cross it.
It's not a full series, it's a necessary bit of connective tissue between two Doctors, two eras. I'm actually hoping that this incarnation of Tennant gets more commonly known as the Bridge Doctor, because it's a good way to look at him. But if they want to call him the 14th Doctor and make Ncuti 15, it's not the end of the world. The numbering system has always been pretty arbitrary. And to argue against the honestly very reasonable complaint that this is a step backwards, I'd say that the concept of a bridge is new territory, even if the man playing the Doctor isn't. In some ways, of course, it's an incredibly safe bet, giving the fans exactly what they want, but in another, it's a risk. Often what people think they want doesn't end up being all that great. The guy they wanted back is back. Now what? It's difficult to deliver on something that's been so heavily requested and anticipated. Relying too much on the past is a slippery slope, but I'm comforted by the fact that Russell T Davies is probably more aware of that as a writer than we are as fans, and I think I trust him to find the balance that he's always managed. I would feel so different about that regeneration right now if all we knew about was Tennant and Tate and RTD. But knowing that a fresh new incarnation is on the horizon makes me feel like I have permission to lose myself in the enjoyment of whatever 60th anniversary fan service they want to send my way. Something I keep coming back to is that I don't think Russell T Davies would have brought these characters back if he didn't think it could be done interestingly or well. But I will admit it took me some time to come to terms with this idea. Luckily, a fair number of people with nothing better to do, myself included, had already decided that this regeneration twist was going to happen. Which means I've had the time to go through all the stages of grief and land at not only acceptance, but excitement. Luckily, there's now going to be a painfully long 13-month wait where other people can do the same. I know he's overhyped, over-merchandised, publicised, and potentially overrated by fans who mostly just long for a time where they didn't have to pay any bills or worry about how much this month's Prime Minister is going to ruin the pound. But God, David Tennant is very good at being Doctor Who. I'm a Capaldi stan. I love being grumpy about David Tennant. Oh, come on, Doctor Who didn't end when he left. There's more to the show than him. When you have to say that so many times, it can make you start thinking, oh, come on, he's not that good. And then I watch him light up the screen, and I have to eat my words and remember that he is popular for a reason. And yeah, as much as it can sometimes be annoying, he is popular. This might be a huge draw for former fans who have lost interest over the years, whether that's because of Chibnall or Moffat, and the buzz and excitement of the whole affair is sure to convince some people to finally give the show a go, and then those people and the returning fans will stick around for Ncuti. That has to be a good thing. Increasing the show's popularity would be great, but I personally just keep thinking about story possibilities. There's clearly more going on here than a simple reused face. That tiny, tantalising look at the confused Ncuti Gatwa in the trailer is so exciting and intriguing. Giving us that little glimpse was a great move, as is his positioning at the front and centre of all the current marketing and press. I can't wait to see what's happening. And as if this mystery wasn't enough to get me excited, and it is, there are reunions between the Doctor and his old friends that we know are coming, and I'm so excited that the Doctor having these reunions has the same face as the one we saw these characters with originally. As we've just seen in Power of the Doctor, that's pretty effective. I can't imagine it working as well without Tennant and the unique connection he had with those actors. An older, post-end-of-time incarnation of the 10th Doctor is a fascinating idea, with a lot of potential. In fact, it almost seems like a direct answer to something that was brought up in his regeneration episode. The 10th Doctor didn't want to go, felt he could do so much more. I've never loved the fact that RTD established that as a thread and then dipped. Here's a clip of the time I called him an awful bastard for it. There's no moment where the Doctor goes, you know what, I will regenerate. His last words are of resistance. RTD was a great showrunner, but an awful bastard on this front. So yeah, that's something I have strong feelings about, but there is now an opportunity for some resolution, or at least a continuation of an interesting and unfinished idea, or just some fun adventures. I honestly don't really care. I'm just happy we've reached the point where I'm excited to see what comes next. One of the reasons I made this video is because I imagine a lot of people are feeling how I did at the start, and I'm not telling you to not feel that and just consume without any critical thinking, but I am saying that a change in mindset might help. I've already seen this being framed as if Ncuti is ready to go on the sidelines and being told to wait while Russell plays with his old friends. And yeah, that would be shitty, but I don't think that's what happened. If you view it as them having the choice between Ncuti Gatwa and David Tennant, then yeah, the boring fan service one seems like a bad move. But it's probably fairer to see the real choice as more between David Tennant for a bit or nothing. A lengthy hiatus during the 60th anniversary of the longest running science fiction series. Or maybe even worse, recasting Ncuti and getting someone more immediately available. If that's the choice, then it really isn't a choice at all. The Bridge Doctor is more of a necessity, a solution to quite a few problems, and one that seems like it's going to be quite a lot of fun. And even if it isn't, we still have so much to look forward to, as David Tennant puts here.
Scarily good. Brilliant. I think the world has got a very exciting new Doctor to look forward to. Once you've enjoyed this one for a little while longer.
And that seems like a nice place to leave it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I'd love to know how you feel about this whole thing. I don't think I'll have changed many minds, but let me know what side of this you fall on. I love reading comments, even when they disagree with me. It's worth noting as well that I'm not an industry insider. A lot of this is conjecture. We don't know for sure how or why this happened. The nuances may be different, but there are things that we do definitely know would have had an impact on production, and that's why I'm happy to come to this conclusion. So yeah, leave a like, subscribe, share it with a friend who's a Bridge Doctor skeptic, follow me on Twitter for a few months until you decide I'm too annoying. See you next time, love you lots.